to welcome Guy Kirkwood from UiPath to start.
Thank you, Vic. Finance people in the room around the world are finding that life is different now. So who amongst you are actually actively using robotic process automation right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The converse of that is who has no idea what I'm talking about? Anyone? Okay. So I at least will give you a little video, which is this.
Do you know why robots are here? So we are free to do the things we love. So we don't spend hours and days and weeks doing one tedious thing after another.
So we have time to think, to be creative, and pursue new ideas. What took hours now takes minutes. What was pretty accurate is now perfectly accurate.
Can you imagine what we humans can achieve if we are powered by that kind of speed and accuracy?
Robots automate display ads in Google AdWords in 3 seconds. I take 10 to 30 minutes. So what do I do with the extra time? I strategize. I write. I fine-tune audience targeting so the ad becomes more effective.
Robots update legal documents to the latest version at any point of time, so I don't have to. So I get more time to think of complex legal arguments that win.
Robots translate customer requests to English and route them accurately to me, so I can spend time offering the best response fast, rather than scramble for translations.
The truth is, this is the ultimate collaboration, robots and humans. Robots do all the boring, backroom stuff, so we don't have to. We can dream big and push ourselves to be our best versions. We can create amazing new things and keep growing our people and our customers, so that everyone progresses, everyone wins.
We started as 10 people, and now we are the fastest growing enterprise software company in history.
So when we're talking about robots, we're talking about software robots. We're talking about not physical robots, although we do have customers a couple of years ago saying, how do you stop the robots pressing the screen too hard? Not that type of humanoid robot. It's software robots moving information through and between systems. Think of it like macros on steroids is what it used to be called. And we need it because, as Leslie Wilcox, Professor of Globalization at London School of Economics, just around the corner, has described, there are pressures within and stresses within organizations that just need automation. And the evidence of that is that if you look at the adoption of RPA around the world, it's fairly lumpy. So if you take the Fortune 500 organizations, we've got about 60% of those as customers now. But it's 35% in US, 35% in Europe, in UK, 40% in France, 50% in Germany, and 80% in Japan. So why is there a difference? It's nothing to do with the technology. It's all to do with the demographic and socioeconomic circumstances of working in those countries. So it's harder to fire people in France and Germany because of the power of the unions and works councils than it is in the US and in the UK. Why is it 80% in Japan? It's because the Japanese population peaked in 2010. So the entire Japanese population is falling, and all the baby boomers, people of my age and Vikram's age, are now retiring. And so we are now in a situation where the average Japanese worker, office worker, works 60 hours a week. And the Japanese government defined dangerous levels of overwork as more than 106 hours a week. There's a word in Japanese called karoshi, which means to work oneself to death. And people do. They commit suicide from overwork. So what we're seeing in Japan today will be replicated in every industrial and post-industrial nation over the next 20, 30 years, just through demographics. Nothing to do with technology, nothing to do with all this AI nonsense. Just to do with the number of people in work versus the number of people that are actually retired. And that's what Leslie was talking about. So the DNA of business is changing, and it's accelerating. Every consulting organization, including Information, is now taking customers through the digital transformation journey. There is a reason that Amazon and Uber have become verbs. No one wants to get Amazoned or Ubered. That digital transformation is critically important. And RPA, robotic process automation, is a really good first step because it's relatively quick, it's relatively cheap compared with big IT projects, and the returns on investment are really good. How do I know that? It's because it's sticky. 96% of customers who buy a license in year one, start of year one, rebuy it at the end of the year. And Automation Anywhere and Blue Prism and Kofax and WorkFusion are the same. The interesting thing about UiPath is that 68% of customers buy more licenses before the first lot run out, which means that they're getting return on investment. Otherwise, why would they do it? So, compliance within financial services. When I started with UiPath at the back end of 2015, I went to the banks and said, I got this new whiz-bang thing called RPA, and it will increase efficiency and decrease cost. And they went, bugger off, I'm not really interested, we've got other things to worry about. The other thing they were worried about was compliance and governance and the FCA and the SEC fining them for getting it wrong. So what we did was we said, hang on, well actually it wasn't us, it was some bright spark in a French bank said, hang on a second, if we use those robots for finance, accounting and procurement and da-di-da, can we also use it for AML and KYC and GDPR? We go, yeah, of course you can. Ding. We then completely changed our way, saying, for banks, this is a way to stop you getting fined. And by the way, it increases efficiency and decreases cost. We sold to 5 banks in 2 months just by changing that conversation. And it's not just us, it's our competitors as well. In terms of stopping the bad guys, in terms of fraud detection, it's really good because it stays awake 24/7. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't take holidays. So you can spot these things really quickly. And by using machine learning, this AI stuff, I got famous last year for saying that AI is bollocks. That's because most organizations that want AI say, we need AI. We know, everyone, we need AI. They have no idea what they're talking about. But in terms of machine learning, in terms of fraud detection, it's really useful because it starts to look at patterns. So it's really, really good for that. And the business cases have changed. So if you look at the business cases up to about 18 months, 2 years ago, it was all about job cuts, all about headcount reduction, cost out. But actually it's changed. And the reason it's changed is that those organizations that have put automation into their business have found that the real value is improving the employee engagement and employee experience, not job cuts. So we've got a big federal government customer that had 940 people doing a particular task. They still have 940 people doing that task, but they're now doing 70% more work. So it increases the value of the individual employee as opposed to replacing the work that they do. It replaces what Gartner called the fingers and toes stuff, the stuff that they don't want to do in the first place. And this is a quote from one of our customers in the financial services market. The mood music has changed. We now measure our service in terms of compliments rather than complaints. That has nothing to do with technology. It's all about culture change. It's all about improving the lot of your employees. And what happens then is that you improve your customer experience. And I believe that over the next 10, 15 years, the true differentiator between organizations isn't going to be how you run your business. It's going to be your relationship with your customers. It's the customer intimacy as banks, as financial institutions, that really drives that capability, really drives your business. Because if you get it wrong, they'll all bugger off to someone else. And that's what they look like when they're put in robots. This is an actual picture of a team that put in robots into their organization. One of the big myths, as I mentioned, is that jobs are all going to disappear because everything's going to get automated. They're not. Jobs are going to change. So if you think back to prior to 1760, certainly in the US, 98% of the population of the US worked the land. It was an agrarian economy. Then the Industrial Revolution happened. Then the Second Industrial Revolution happened. Then the Third Industrial Revolution happened. And now we're probably, some would say, in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And that answer is now 2%. 2% of people work the land. Does that mean that 96% of the US population is unemployed? No, of course not. Jobs will change. And what will ultimately happen is that, as Andrew Ng, who's a professor at Stanford University, said, AI is the new electricity. And I fundamentally agree with that. And to put it bluntly, no one gives a toss how the electricity is generated, as long as when you turn the switch on, the light comes on. This will just be the standard way that organizations run themselves. And actually, very appropriately, it's been described as the new business as usual, BAU, which is appropriate considering the B is Blue Prism, the A is Automation Anywhere, and the U is UiPath. Coincidental, but that's just the way it works. So this stuff will disappear, not because it's not going to get used. It's going to disappear because it's going to get used everywhere. It will be truly ubiquitous. Boris Krumrie, our head of robotics, wrote a paper, came on LinkedIn a couple of days ago, saying that we will become commoditized over the next 5 years. Now, commoditization, some of our salespeople got upset by that, saying commoditizing just means low cost. There will definitely be a reduction in cost, but actually it just means that it's going to be spread everywhere. It's that ubiquity that's really going to drive the difference in organizations. And that's ultimately the direction of travel. When we go and see the private equity, the venture capital organizations, the first question they say, what is the total addressable market for your product? That. Bill Gates in the 80s said that he envisioned a time when every household and every desktop would have a computer. Now we carry around 3 or 4 in our pockets. So a robot for every person is the way that the market's moving. What does that mean? It means the unattended robot is the stuff that you never want to see again. It's the stuff that the millennials, the Gen Zs that come into the market, they go, why the hell are you doing it in this way? It's that reducing that, what Ian Barkin of Symphony has described as that process sediment that builds up in organizations in the same way that sedimentary rock builds up over millions of years. The processes within your organizations have been built up by different layers, different systems, different ways of working. And you need to make that more pleasant for the humans that actually work. The carbon-based life forms, not the silicon-based life forms, that actually work and live in your organization. In fact, going back to Japan, most of what they do is attended robots. This is activity triggered by the human. And it's a cultural thing, but they thank the robot for the work that they do. That attended robot combined with the unattended robot is what we think about when we think about a robot for every person. And I went to see the FCA and the SEC back in 2016 and said, would you like this stuff? And they said, yeah, bring it on. Why? Because it's deterministic, it's rules-based, it's fast, and it's 100% accurate. They love this stuff. Interestingly, they won't look at machine learning because in machine learning, the answer depends on the data set you're looking at. And as the data set changes, then the answer will change. So compliance and governance from a regulatory perspective won't rely, or they won't think about doing that from an ML perspective, but they will from RPA, and they absolutely love it. Thank you very much indeed.